So usually you would be in my usual environment on a sofa, and I did have everything prepared. However, when I did the filming, I only got, let's say, a quarter of the way through, and then it died on me. My bad, technically. I did forget to charge the batteries for the camera, so yeah, this should have been yesterday, uploaded for today. However, I feel like it's going to be filmed today and uploaded for, tomorrow. This is, like I said, I'm not in the best of environments. I am quite literally in my own room right now, my own bedroom. So, I'm hoping that you can see me, hear me properly, and it doesn't look too awkward. I will warn you, I do have hay fever, so I might be a little bit sniffly. So, if you couldn't read the title, I watched Jurassic World 2. I hate this movie. I hated that movie so much. I'm going to say this right now, I'm not the biggest Jurassic World, Jurassic Park fan, as it is. I've never really cared for the series. I always felt that each movie was practically the same thing. You got the same sort of characters and all that, and the same sort of problems each time. It's never, had a drastic change whatsoever. They've never really had the balls to do that. So they just have to repeat it over and over again. It's a case of you've seen one, you've seen them all. They might actually change it a little bit, but then, who cares? And this movie is a prime example of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting the same result. Because Jurassic World was a success, technically speaking. It was critical, financial success. And I will admit, it was alright. I wouldn't say it was brilliant. I even think that with the first one, it's alright. I think that people overrate it because, look at the special effects and all that. And to be fair, for its time, the special effects are brilliant. But, yeah, this isn't the type of movie that I'd harp on about, and the type of movie that I'd care about. It's something that you don't really need to watch over and over again to appreciate. You can just watch it once and that's it. Jurassic World 2, Fallen Kingdom. This is a piece of shit. This might be the worst one of them all. And what's worse is, for me personally, is the fact that it's been getting quite good reviews, and I don't know why. At least with Solo, the next. Yep, it's still going. Don't worry. At least it was Solo. You expect me to do that a lot this time because the camera's so untrustworthy. I should get another one. It only works if I'm behind the lens. As I was saying, with Solo, it may have had some flaws, but at least I can look past it. At least I enjoyed Solo. With this film, it's got mixed reviews similar to Solo. However, it's been getting a little bit more positivity when really it should be getting more negativity, in my humble opinion. Because this film fucking sucks. And I mean, it fucking sucks. It's best described in one simple word. Stupid. That is the best way to describe Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, as stupid. Now you may be wondering, well, the whole series is technically stupid. Well, at least the whole series is stupid in the fun sense, the fun, extravagant sense. The first film in particular, But first film, second film were stupid and fun in their own sense. This is the type of stupid which they're trying to put out this really important message about how, dinosaurs are creatures too. I was about to say people too. Creatures too. They're living, breathing creatures. We shouldn't let them die out again. And that's the whole message that they keep harping on about in this entire film. And it's a type of message which has been done much better in other products. and has been taken a lot more seriously than this film, and wasn't completely retarded, is the best way of describing it. There are so many fucking stupid moments in this film. There's like, from annoying characters that you just want to be murdered brutally, and I'll get onto the characters in a second, two of them in particular, to goofy, bloody villains, which are essentially, you know the Tom and Jerry movie where you have, we got to get money, as, you know, he's got this twiddling moustache. That is the essential villain in this film. The same villains from the previous film, you know, the ones that want to make biological weapons using dinosaurs, which is stupid, by the way, if you really think about it, because we've got drones, we've got high-tech weaponry. We can blow up a dinosaur just like that. Really? That's your big, extravagant, evil plan? Okay, get on to that in a minute. And then there's the ending. The ending of this film is perhaps one of the worst happy endings you will ever fucking see. Yeah, so let's talk about the annoying characters, shall we? This is what I did yesterday, basically. A little bit different, but like I said the exact same thing in the yesterday review. Yep, that's still recording. Thank God. Because let's talk about the characters. It's particularly two really annoying characters. So for the most part, the only characters you're really going to care about is Chris Pratt and Ron Howard's daughter. Ironically, this is the second movie this year that I've seen that has a family member of the Howard family. But as I was saying, those are the only characters you're ever going to care about or give any two shits about. That and a little girl, but little girl, yeah. They're the only ones that have any good acting in this, because everyone else is acting like a goofy supervillain, and or they're these other two characters, these other two heroes, that have no real purpose in this entire film except for doing one thing each. The one is this black man, and the other is this Asian lady. Now, before everyone goes out and says, oh, they're forcing diversity afterwards, they're the only two in the entire film. I swear I've never seen another black person or an Asian person in the entire film except for those two. And they're poor representations if they are the only two. Because you got... I'm so sorry. Because you got this black guy whose only purpose in this film is to open a door. You may be thinking, I'm joking right there, but no, literally that is his only real purpose in this film, is to open a door when they're on the island as it's about to erupt with the volcano, and that's it. Just so they can track down a raptor. After that, he has no purpose whatsoever, but they keep him alive because they think he's funny, they think he's comedic relief. In my opinion, he was not funny, he wasn't comedic whatsoever. The whole gist of the humour is to make him scream like a girl, go and thinking that's a T-Rex, and somehow surviving every bloody hit that comes to him. He even trips up at one point as they're about to go onto the boat to survive and escape the island, and at that point I'm thinking, okay, they can just kill him off there. No, they keep him alive. They run back to save this piece of shit character who does nothing but annoy you with his dialogue, with his constant screaming, constantly, and it drove me around the bend. Thankfully he's, you know, so useless that they sort of forget about him at one point, because he's disguised as one of the security guards, and from that point on he disappears, and then he comes back at the end just out of random, because why the fuck not? But same goes for his accomplice, the Asian lady, who her whole defining trait is that she's the badass, you know, female that talks back at you. I'm going to say this right now. If you think that's what makes a strong and independent woman, you're deeply mistaken. You are deeply mistaken. That's just as bad as a damsel in distress, in my opinion. Anyone who makes a character that acts so aggressive and very nasty towards other characters, you know, to the point that she's practically a chav. Well, a vegan chav. You know, you got that sort of behaviour. That does not make you cool. That does not make you bad. That makes you just as pathetic. I'm going to say that right now. And I don't know if any filmmakers realise that, but it can. It can really make a character pathetic. You know, in my opinion, there's always this clause. There's this, you know, difference between two. You know, there's always a far left and a far right. You think of it like that. You know, on the far left, you have the very strong, independent female, which, you know, practically has no weakness and is always talking back and is essentially a bitch to any other character. And then you have the other, which is the extremely weak damsel, blonde, bimbo, slim blonde, this piece of crap. You know, and when it comes to those sort of characters, you kind of need a balance, right? Jurassic World doesn't do that. You just have opposite end here, opposite end there. There's nothing in between. So this lady, she just drove me around the bone because her only defining trait is to basically heal Blue, because she's a veterinarian, or whatever the hell they call it when you do it to dinosaurs. A veterinarian for dinosaurs. And Blue just so happens to get shot in the chest at one point because you know, Chris Pratt, he's about to take her on board so they can take her off to this whimsical paradise island. Spoiler alert, the bad guys aren't going to the paradise island, they're using the dinosaurs for themselves. You know, these clearly evil bad guys with big guns and wearing hunting, you know, attire. Yeah, the good guys don't really notice that. So yeah, these bad guys, they sucked. But they swarm Blue, and one of them gets his face ripped off, and just like Jurassic World, they decide, you know, that we have CGI blood splat the screen, because splat the camera, I meant, because that's really cool. Yep, it's still recording it. Whenever it makes this ticking noise, sometimes that's when it turns off. So, where was I? Yeah, this really, you know, this really bad CGI as well. And I forgot to mention that. But the blood splatting on the camera because hey, the previous film did it. Why don't we do it? So Blue gets shot, and of course her only purpose is to heal Blue. They heal Blue. They also do, you know, what's seen in the trailers when they're in the little cage with the T-Rex, and they draw blood so they can put it in Blue because it's another carnivore. And yeah, let's just say, yeah, that's still recording. Let's just say that is her only purpose in this entire film. On that point onwards, she does really nothing. Just like the black guy, nothing. They could easily have just shot them both, you know, as like punishment or something. But no, let's keep them alive, because why not? Jeff Goldblum, by the way, appears in the film, but only for like 10 seconds. And ironically, he's the most intelligent character in this entire film. You know, he says, essentially, what he says in his 10-second screen time, because they're talking, because basically they have like US government and NATO and whatnot, UN, talking about what they should do to with these dinosaurs on the island. Should they save them or should they let them die? Because after all, these dinosaurs have been known to brutally murder people on a massive scale, you know. So should we let them die, or should we save them, you know? And they had this nice idea that, okay, we could put them on this paradise island. You know, that's fair enough. But Jeff Goldblum, he says quite brilliantly at the beginning, something along the lines of, yes, these are wonderful creatures, but if you're someone like me who has witnessed firsthand what these creatures have done to people, then you'd know that maybe it's best to let them die, because they don't realise there's a Paradise Island elsewhere. Spoiler alert, the Paradise Islands is mentioned right at the beginning and never mentioned again, because, oh, why the fuck not? You know, they could have easily saved the animals and put them on the Paradise Island, but let's get to the ending in a minute, because the ending is a special kind of stupidity. It really is. So you got really bad characters. The main villain, guy in a suit, wants to essentially auction off all these dinosaurs to all these criminal underworlds, because, you know, all these criminal underworlds are all people wearing suits. Believe it or not, criminal underworlds in the real world don't really wear suits per se. If anything, they kind of wear casual clothes like this. You know, they're quite scruffy looking. Ever heard of the Mexican cartel? But, I digress. So all these criminal underworlds are like really rich, posh people who wear really ridiculous clothing, and it's at this point that I wondered, you know, you've already introduced that the UN and the American government and all that, they know about these dinosaurs, they know about this shit. Surely they'd be tracking this island, this volcanic eruption, this island full of dinosaurs. They'd probably be monitoring anyone who'd be trying to enter the island, because right at the beginning, someone in a submarine, a really poor CGI submarine, like, it honestly looked like a PlayStation 2 graphic. It was terrible, you know. In fact, it actually looked like Jaws 3D. You know, Jaws 3D, they had a yellow submarine. It was a yellow submarine, and it looked like Jaws 3D's submarine. Who knows? Maybe they got inspired by Jaws 3D. But, yeah. Hate this song, is. Yeah. So, yeah, you'd think that the government would track this island, or track any activity going on. They'd have UN or whatnot. You'd have information about large ships containing large dinosaurs going in from and out from this island, but no! For whatever reason, the government or any secret service or the UN or NATO or whatnot, they don't exist anymore, because they only exist for debating on whether dinosaurs should live or die in a volcanic eruption. You know, surely they'd be around to stop certain things like this. Like, I know this is movie magic, and movie magic dictates that anything can happen, yes, but if you already introduced this idea at the beginning, introduce it in this world, then you kind of have to realise that that introduction means that it's going to have consequence elsewhere. You know, the thing which I like about Marvel's superheroes is the fact that they introduce it, and they do have consequences as a result. You know, take a look at Civil War. You know, after the events in, you know, that African country, you know, where the building gets blown up when she throws crossbones at it, there's consequences from the government. You know, it's not a case of, you know, they let them be free all the time, you know. In fact, they did, and then they bit the bullet for it. In the case of Jurassic World, they don't have any, you know, logic whatsoever, so, yeah. Believe it or not, because they really wanted to be like Jurassic World 1, they really wanted to get another genetic hybrid in it. Another not Saurus Rex, but an Idioraptor. Slightly smaller this time. But, oh my god. They even did like the whole, oh, it's half raptor, half T-Rex. You know, like they did in the first film. And it's like, oh my god, we have already seen this. And what's worse is this is like the last 20 minutes of the film that they introduce this thing. You know, they do mention it beforehand, obviously. But they have it beforehand, they have it right for the last 20 minutes, and it wreaks havoc, it kills a bunch of people, and chases the little girl about. This little girl, by the way, is a clone. You know, a clone who is a clone of a mother, supposedly, or technically the same person, because it's a clone. You get the basically there's this old man who used to work with John Hammond in the first film. He decided, he's a really old, frail man. His daughter died in a car crash, and he looks after his granddaughter. It turns out his granddaughter is actually his daughter, just as a clone. Either that or they used her frozen eggs, I don't know. That would have been more logical than just to fucking clone the child. But hey, there's a lot of hints saying, oh, she looks just like her mother. She even acts just like her mother. And then they have a picture of her. She looks just like her mother. And then she's a clone. I know I'm bringing too much logic to a fucking Jurassic World film, but there is such a thing as IVF. There is such a thing as fertility treatments, There is such a thing as freezing one's eggs. For example, if someone were to die in a car crash, the eggs would still be around, frozen. Just create a child out of that. But no, we just need to have a genetic clone because, this is sciencey, wiancy crap. But yeah, because now the reason why I mentioned this whole clone scenario is because it's important to the big reveal, the ending of this film, which I'm building up because I cannot wait to tell you, because I told someone else on Discord, a friend of mine who goes by the name of Primeval Brony, and he's an expert on dinosaurs, and he said how they butchered one particular dinosaur. I can't remember its name because it's like Dragophorus or whatever the hell it is. That's poor wording by my part, but it was something like that, And to be fair, the dinosaurs in Jurassic World Jurassic Park I should say, have always been inaccurate, so, there is that. Take Velociraptor for example. Velociraptors weren't big killer things like that, but rather they were small little chicken-sized creatures. Sorry to rain on your parade. Speaking of velociraptors, apparently velociraptors, according to Jurassic World 2, are the second most intelligent creature on Earth. That's why they want to make an army of hybrid Tyrannosaurus Rex velociraptors running about, because it worked so well the first time. It worked so well, every other time, and they think, why don't we keep doing it over and over again? I bet you the third film is going to have another hybrid creature, because apparently there's going to be a fucking sequel to this shit. But let's get towards the end, shall we? So at the end, you have the massive house raid, where this giant Idioraptor runs about the house, and it's tracking this little girl in particular. And the little girl's the type of little girl which would, they have those little, I don't want to call them elevator shafts, those little wooden boxes where they would, back in the good old days, put meals in, and they would travel the meal down. Ooh, my stomach. I'm thinking of food, that's why. So yeah, they have the little, drop boxes, and the little girl goes in there, but she waits a whole 5 fucking seconds as the creature slowly turns the corner, slowly walks towards her, and then charges at her. What does she do in these 5 seconds? She doesn't just, take herself up or down to hide herself. Oh, no. She sits in there and screams at it, alerting it to her presence as it slowly crept forward and then charged at her. She survives, by the way. Spoiler alert. But yeah, she then goes to her bedroom. She hides in the bedroom. The creature comes out, which is seen in all the trailers where it does that with its claw. Then Blue bursts in as well. Chris Pratt bursts in first. He doesn't do much. Blue bursts in, fights the creature. They go on this this greenhouse, and on the greenhouse, that made a sound. Yeah, on the greenhouse, that's where the Idioraptor meets its end. It gets pushed off by, Chris Pratt, Bryce Howard, and the little girl, and Blue. By the way, it's just something to point out. Bryce Dallas Howard, before this final conflict, she ended up being attacked by this creature, and she has a nail dug straight through her leg. Somehow she manages to run about and jump onto the roof, onto the greenhouse, so she can fire at the creature. Yeah, just at that point, all the logic was thrown out the window. But then the ending came just to beat you over the fucking head with a baseball bat. So they kill the creature because the creature falls through the glass of the greenhouse and it lands on a Triceratops skeleton and gets impaled just like that. Blue somehow survives. Speaking of surviving, a lot of these characters somehow survive. They for whatever reason these characters somehow fall from great heights and don't break a back, don't break a single fucking bone. This is a problem with pretty much most movies, but surely someone would be paralysed at one point, You fall from the roof of a 5-story building and the worst that happens is you get a little cut on your knee. So, yeah, then we get to the ending. Before the ending happened, you had that one brief scene with the Asian lady and the black guy. And they're the responsible for freeing Blue. That's their second appearance. Or their appearance after a long time of not seeing them. That's their second appearance, by the way, of seeing them again. And they free Blue. But by freeing Blue, of course, the bad guys with weapons and whatnot, they fire away, they shoot explosive chemicals, which causes, explosive gas, and it blows up, destroys the corner of this room, of this, I'm tripping over my own words, the science lab, that's right, the science lab, I don't know how I could forget that. Tripping over the science lab, as they trip over the science lab, as the science lab blows up, it releases these chemical gas. The chemical gas goes in with all the dinosaurs are being held. And somehow, for about this long period of time, none of the dinosaurs die as a result. Especially even the small ones, because you have little nippy ones, the ones that you see in Jurassic Park 2. Somehow they don't get killed either. So somehow they don't die. So our heroes rush down with the little girl. They rush down, meet the black guy and the Asian lady. They discuss about what they're gonna do because all these dinosaurs are gonna die. We gotta free them, says the Asian lady. But then Chris Pratt says, quite logically, think about what you're going to do. You let them out, they're going to be all over America. So, Bryce Dallas Howard, she's got her finger on the button to release the gates, the doors, but she decides to close it. And at this point, I think, you've got balls, movie. You've actually got balls. I actually appreciate you for doing this. This is actually quite a good warning message, whatnot, about this. And of course, you watch all these dinosaurs, they're roaring and going like that. But then the little girl decides she'll press the button, and she says, "I understand them," or something along that lines. Basically, she says it. She understands them because she's a clone. So she's a genetic freak, just like the other genetic freaks. Just like, because they're not real dinosaurs, to say the very least. They're genetically made dinosaurs. So in case you're wondering, why the camera may have been, or angle may be a little bit weird, is because the camera died. But as I was saying, so she presses the button because she's a clone. She understands them, and they have feelings too. So immediately when the dinosaurs rush out, because they didn't just let out the herbivores, they let out the carnivores as well. Keep that in mind. So the bad guy, he's getting away in his car. He's got loads of money. He's safe. So he goes in his car, they rush, they try to get away, but then, Pterodactyl comes, lifts up one of the bad guy's guards, drops it on the car, crushes the car. Then he goes underneath his car as this Triceratops bashes the car about, and other dinosaurs crush the car even further. So he tries to drag himself away, with the briefcase full of, his microtransactions, his money that he's made from his auction. And then you have all those little creatures, and you think, and I thought, okay, these little creatures are gonna swarm him. He's gonna be trapped under the car, and then they're gonna come in and rip him apart. No. Instead, you have this, instead the T-Rex comes, chomps down on him, lifts him up, and then the other, not T-Rex, but the one with the horny fucking eyes, he comes in and rips him in half. You see him being ripped in half, and he eats the legs. One leg falls onto the ground where the little ones come in and eat, and then the T-Rex rolls. At the end, it's shown that these dinosaurs have gone through America. At the very beginning, the Mosasaur was released, so technically it wasn't the hero's fault. But you see this fucking Mosasaur underneath a bunch of surfers as they're surfing. And this thing has been known to kill innocent people. This thing has probably... It's not probably. It has killed a bunch of people on a beach. Oh, but that's not it. A T-Rex breaks into a zoo, roars at a lion in a comedic sense. I like to remind you, a zoo is usually filled with innocent families, men, women and children. A T-Rex inside this zoo will most likely kill those people. And yet this is treated like a happy ending. You've just released a bunch of genetic fucking monsters into our world. Genetic extinct, based on extinct monsters. Into our world where they are wreaking havoc, killing people. And you're the good guys. You're the fucking heroes who have created this happy ending. This joyful, wonderful ending. And yet, you don't see the consequences of this action. Chris Pratt said, "Watch out." Little girl, being such a young child, sure, you could argue the excuse she's a child, she doesn't know better, but what makes this worse is, she was before this, was chased down by this fucking dinosaur, this genetic hybrid dinosaur, the Idioraptor, throughout her house, probably about to be murdered, ripped apart. She witnessed other people being torn to shreds. And yet, she lets them free, thinking that that's a good idea. She would have been traumatized from what she witnessed. If she was a real little girl, like a real child that existed in the real world, that child would not press that button. That child would have let them die, because that child would have been fucking traumatized. But no, she's a clone. She understands. She understands they have feelings. Look, I don't deny that animals have feelings, but here's the thing. If, say in a zoo in Britain, a bunch of tigers were let loose, because, these tigers have feelings. And these tigers then go on a rampage and kill up to 50 odd people. And they're still killing people. That would be a stupid fucking idea, because, for one thing, you gotta realise that, not only are you putting these people at risk, these tigers are also going to have to be put down now. So you kind of fuck them over. Zoos aren't there to entrap animals and keep them in prison. No, they're there because... Get this, it's for conservation. Get this, animals are bred and it keeps their species alive. If we decided we'd let them all out, expect consequences, expect a lot of death and destruction. But of course, our heroes don't realise that. Our heroes want this happy fucking ending where the dinosaurs are free and now wreaking havoc and killing innocent bystanders. Remember when I said this film was stupid? This film is downright fucking stupid. And just because Chris Pratt and, you know, Miss Howard is in it, doesn't mean that this film is saved. At all. You know, they may be great actors, they may be great characters, but they do not save a fucking movie. The CGI is awful, the characters are fucking annoying, and the plot is nonsensical. The villains are just laughable, you know, goofy fucking villains that only do it for money. I hate this film, and I blame my sister for bringing me over to watch this, because she's the one that's a fan of this terrible, terrible, terrible franchise. Just let it die already. Please. You could have just let it die with the previous film. Just let it die. See ya.